Good morning, everybody. Thanks for zooming in. I'll try and zoom my face out a little bit. I'm speaking to you live here from COP26 in Glasgow. Yesterday was Transport Day, where we brought the focus of the world onto transport for the entire day. And it's not just electric cars, it wasn't just about electric vans and trucks, though there was a lot of that, but also buses, rail, and of course cycling and walking. Cycling and walking already the greenest way of moving people and goods about, and no matter what fantastic developments we see in the future in clean technology, I'm sure that we're going to see loads for transport, then nothing is actually going to change that. Right. Back in July, the UK government published our plans for decarbonising transport, which I'll talk about in a little bit more detail in a moment. But that document kicks off by saying transport decarbonisation is a dull way, it doesn't say a very dull way, a dull way of describing something much more exciting and much more far-reaching. And I agree with that second part. To some it may sound dull, that's not dull to me, but I do want to touch on why this is so important and why the UK is pushing the envelope on all of this so hard. And I also declare right now I wholeheartedly agree that it is exciting and it is far-reaching as well. This is in fact quite the moment we find ourselves in. Throughout history, transport has constantly changed and evolved, and our job at hand is to make sure that the profound change that we see before us isn't something that just hits us and knocks us off our stride, but instead is change that we shape so that it changes people's lives for the better. Because decarbonised transport is better transport, it genuinely is. It's cleaner, quieter, less harmful to people and the planet, and it's more efficient and it's more reliable. Yes, that's important to people and their journeys, but I understand, and the UK government understands, that it is business critical for the freight and logistics sector, absolutely. So a key theme in the transport decarbonisation plan is moving people away from cars and onto public transport, as well as more shorter journeys being cycled or walked. Now that is key to unlocking improvements in congestion as well as the environment, leaving more space on the roads for those people and journeys that need to be driven. So there's big investments that we've heard about and that we're seeing coming through in cycling and walking. £2 billion worth, in fact, and we've seen over 300 infrastructure projects start in the last 12 months alone. Those projects are going to make safer space for cyclists and for walkers. So big investments in buses as well, pledges to reform the industry, making buses more reliable, frequent and modern, really, really crucial. And of course, cleaner, quieter and nicer. So there's going to be around 4,000 zero-emission buses hitting the UK roads just in the next couple of years. Now, a challenge often put to us is that we're seen as technology optimists, whether it be ministers, politicians, or officials working in government on decarbonisation. Frankly, I don't mind that, and actually, I can get myself comfortable with it. To be honest, there's going to be huge changes and development in clean technologies between now and 2050. But crucially, the technology that we need already is out there. We don't need to invent batteries again. And we've got good prospects for green hydrogen as well, to fill in those gaps or the niche areas where batteries can't quite reach yet. As well as for heavier transport applications, obviously such as aviation and maritime, which can get to zero, and they can get there by 2050 as well. Now these offer us huge opportunities for the UK to lead in these huge, big global markets. Now then, on to today, theme for today, freight and logistics in the UK. I thought I'd just say, what actually does that look like? From my eyes, it's a transformed last mile, absolutely. It's more cargo bikes, it's more e-cargo bikes, it's more powered walkers, and it's more walking as well. But it's also better use of innovation, more technology, and better use of data, and more data being provided as well. That's going to really transform access to towns and city centres across the UK, making consolidation a better reality, actually, for the majority of last mile deliveries. So decarbonised freight and logistics looks something like more and better integration between road, rail, sea and air, with the whole freight system benefiting from more space on our road network. More capacity on our rail network means that we'll be able to set a rail freight growth target as well in the future. So this COP is all about keeping the prospect of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees alive. The reality is that over the last decade, we've come a really, really long way. We've got far better climate science these days. It's far better explained, far better understood. And I think there are less people now that don't believe it. And so when people say, these conferences don't work, or potentially this conference could fail, I 100% disagree. When the world was gathered in Paris, we weren't talking about net zero, let alone net zero by 2050. And yet now in the UK, this is the law. It's legislated for. Not only that, but we've got a published plan to deliver it. It's comprehensive, it's ambitious, it needed to be. We've increased our ambitions for carbon reductions by 2030 and effectively brought the old 2050 target forward to 2035. So that's bringing it forward by 15 years. But having mapped this out doesn't mean it's then easy to implement. Far from it. This is really tricky stuff, and the real hard work now starts. So our net zero strategy looks across the entire economy. Our transport decarbonisation plan, recently published, takes a view across all of transport in the UK as a system. And only when you do that can you understand the different pathways and interdependencies. This genuinely is a numbers game. There's a finite budget of carbon emissions that we've got if we're going to achieve 1.5. So we do have to make all of this add up. But we've got to balance off feasibility. Of course, we've got to bring in cost, and we've got to bring users with us as well. So whilst our plans agree, for example on trucks, with Europe's commercial vehicle manufacturers, by 2040 we do agree all new trucks have absolutely got to be fossil free. But we think they must go further than that, in fact, and they need to be zero emission by that point in time, in line with all of the new road vehicles in the UK. And for some of the smaller ones, the lighter ones, maybe they can go a bit faster. There are already fully zero emission vehicles in the 3.5 to 26 tonne category range on the market right now. So that's why, alongside our publication of our transport decarb plan back in July, we asked whether all new commercial vehicles 26 tonne or less could make the transition by 2035. Thank you to many of you who are watching this, for your contributions to that consultation and the debate that took place around it. I hope we will draw our conclusions on it very soon. Thanks too for all your work to design the mass-scale demonstration trials that have been going on in the last few months. These are going to put these technologies onto UK roads in UK trucks as early as next year. This means we can learn together. That's infrastructure providers working together and learning together with manufacturers and operators. We're going to learn how these vehicles will work in practice, and importantly and so crucially, their infrastructure needs. This could not be more vital, it could not be more timely. We've got the money confirmed now through the recent budget and spending review, and we'll be able to crack on with those trials at some scale. The technology is coming, it's exciting to see it, but we've got to get the infrastructure planning sorted ahead of time, not just in time. But I'm confident we can, confident we will. Really looking forward to hearing from the rest of the speakers that we've got lined up for the rest of the morning or the afternoon or the evening, depending on your time zone, and from those that we've heard from over the last couple of days. They're going to be able to give us more detail on all of that and their unique perspectives as well. I'll just leave you with this thought. If together we deliver our transport decarbonisation plan in full, then we'll be able to halve the UK's transport carbon emissions this decade. That's fantastic. But then we'll be able to go on and over the next 5 years halve them again. Now that sounds sometimes quite daunting, very, very challenging. However, the reality is that's the absolute minimum that we need to do. The reality is that we're facing that we really have to turbocharge all of that. But I'm really sure that working together, so that's the academic community, along with industry and policymakers, I'm sure that we can do just that. Thank you for listening.